Hi guys, Chris the Non-Pro Wine Guy here. This week we're going to try something a little different than what we have been doing, and that is going to be, I'm going to split my video into two. I have taken the opportunity to upgrade some cameras, and I have one over here as well. I've had some big news this week. I've had the opportunity to get some grapes for free, and what you'll find is if you can get any kind of fruit for free in home winemaking, it's always a good deal. So I'm really excited to be able to start this process from the very start with fruit for you guys. So stick with me. That's going to probably come over the course of the next several weeks. Last week I asked you guys the question if you wanted to see about tannin or terroir, and you guys said that you wanted to see about tannin this week. So I'm going to answer that question. I'm really excited about it. It's one of my favorite topics. It's super nerdy, and it's a little bit of chemistry in there. It's a little bit of opinion. You know, tannin is one of those things that the industry has turned into this huge story, and it's a lot of confusion around the topic. And so hopefully today I can clear some of that up. So what exactly is a tannin? If you look it up on the internet, you'll find that it calls it a polyphenol, which simply means that there are more than one phenol. What I can tell you is, to most of us, that means absolutely nothing. The next question then is, what is a phenol? A phenol is an aromatic compound that is organic. It is something that gives off smell. Smell is something that really affects the way that we taste everything, from wine to food to really, like when you are walking by something and you get that sniff and you start salivating. Smell has so much to do with taste. So polyphenols, tannins, help us taste certain things in wine. From there, we're probably going to want to talk about, what do they do? How do tannins work? Well, tannins attach themselves onto proteins and amino acids, and they start to break down the proteins. Now remember that proteins are often thought of as something bad in wine. When we see wine that's kind of hazy, kind of murky, we often assume it's protein. Also, there's a lot of protein inside of our mouths, and so when we drink wine, the tannins will attach there too. So it's really important to understand that tannin is going to attach to a protein, and it is going to break it down. If you've ever been wine tasting and you were towards the end of the experience and you just loved what was in front of you, and you bought yourself a bottle, and you took it home, and you opened it at home, and you realized that maybe this wine wasn't as good as you thought it was, that's probably because those tannins were tricking you. There is a bit of a fatigue that will happen inside of your mouth from having too many tannins in there. And wineries know this, and they will probably serve you a little extra wine with not much to replace those proteins inside your mouth, understanding that those tannic wines that you get right at the end are going to taste fantastic to you. So what does this mean for wine drinkers? Well, it means I hope you like cheese, and I hope you like meat. A lot of us like to say that we like really tannic wines, but I can tell you that calling a wine really tannic is not necessarily a very good tasting note. Tannins don't really have flavor per se, but they do have a taste, if you will. If you've ever had black tea, just plain black tea, no sugar, and kind of steeped heavily, you'll know that sensation inside of your mouth that makes it feel like those salivary glands back there are really wanting to work hard, but it almost feels like they can't. Or if you've ever eaten walnuts and it just feels like your mouth is coated and you really need a drink of water, those are tannins. When I first started learning about tannins, I was told they're pretty much everything inside of the plant that isn't sugar or water. Things like stems, leaves, skins, seeds. Seeds are not actually tannins. We're kind of lazy and we group them in there with them. But seeds don't actually have tannins. They act in a similar way, but seeds are really actually just bitter. So when we deal with seeds in our wine, if we're using grapes to make wine and we have seeds in there, one of the ways to minimize the bitterness of those seeds for us is to not press our wine as hard. Your next option is going to be your grape tannin. Grape tannin is a great antioxidant, and a lot of people will say that this is why wine is so good for you. Grape tannin in of itself is probably not going to be your best option for aging wine long term. It is a great antioxidant, but it probably is not going to make your wine better over time. If you're looking to age wine for 2 to 14 years and have it continually get better as you go, then it's important to be able to balance your tannin between a wood tannin and a grape tannin and really kind of smooth out your flavors. Speaking of wood tannin, oak is something that we often include in our wines to enhance it and make it a little bit more drinkable. Now, in our batch over here, I have used oak chips, and I've included them to be able to provide that tannin to my wine so that it does age well. Oak chips don't allow us to add some of the oxygen in that we get from barrels, so I do wish that we had barrels, but for now, this is a good option, and you can buy toasted oak off the internet pretty easily. If you enjoyed this conversation, please make sure to like my Facebook, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and continue to be part of the conversation that we're having. As always, I want to have a question of the week, but this week I want to leave it a little bit more open-ended. I have had some good feedback from people, and I've had the opportunity to talk to some of you guys, and it's been a blast for me. And so I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to ask a question of your own this week, and I'll pick one out. I'll leave it inside of my little video there so you can see who it was. We'll give a little shout out, and I will answer the question for you for next week. One of the questions I got asked this past week was, how big of production can my winery currently handle with the size that it is? As you can see behind me, each one of these shelves can hold 3 carboys, and I have good space for 4 shelves here. So that's 12 carboys that I could hold on my shelving unit at any given time and bulk age there. Now that's 60 gallons, and I could arguably put another row here, and there's always the corner back over there. But, for me, 60 gallons is more than enough to bulk age, particularly in my first year in this winery. Now, you do want to start off kind of slow. I do believe that there is the ability to grow too fast. And when you do that, you get burnt out, you spend all your money, you feel like you wasted it, and it really ruins the hobby for you. So I suggest to you that take it slow from the beginning. Plan for a bigger space if you're going to do that long term, but don't rush into this, because there is the opportunity to expand as you go, and there is the opportunity to change the way you do things along the way. And I encourage you to do that as you take notes and learn what works for you. So Tony, I hope that answers your question. And if you have any others, then please feel free to ask. I'll get to them as soon as I can, whether that's through message or on a video just like this. And until next week, cheers.